Hello ladies, hello gentlemen, welcome to Have the Race Gone for the IGTL Teamed Nations Cup qualifying sessions 1 and 2 here from Blue Moon Bay, the Roval as they call it, Road Oval Circuit. Imaginary, it is strongly inspired by the road layout of Daytona. We are here to see the very best from the world of Gran Turismo sport compete in the Ford GT road cars, and it's gonna be a blast. Blue Moon Bay, it is a bit about the track here. Of course, a very good evening, a very warm welcome to everyone tuning in at this early stage. 500 brake horsepower, more or less, just under 1400 kilos, and that's of course the stock weight sport mediums. And that's for the entirety of the event for tomorrow's stint race as well. We'll have a single hot lap relation, so it's really all counting when it counts, as you'd know it. And we are here for live pictures here from practice. Such a pleasure to see so many of you tuning in so quickly. And I've been sensing quite a bit of hype building up around this event, and rightfully so, because it is most certainly well contested. As we just jump in here, well, looky look who it is. It's Velace Storm, and I have to say I'm quite blown away by the list of contenders, the list of sign-ups, if you will, who are racing this event. And perhaps the biggest star of them all to star in this race, it is, of course, Mick Hissal, TRL Lightning, call him what you will, the Cookie Monster. He is an absolute beast. He's fastest so far here in Q1 practice. And just to finish on the format, as we've had the ever so lovely and informative GT Alex in chat. So of course always listen to what he says and direct questions. If I'm not focused enough to read what's going on in chat, you can always ask Alex, because I bet you he knows. But anyway, I was going to talk a little bit about this qualifying format. I think it's a very clever one indeed, because it's a team race, and what is going to happen is that it's going to be two drivers from each of the teams. Mind you, some are just two-man teams. Others of the teams consist of 3 drivers. But it's going to be 2 drivers putting in a lap each. They have only 1 lap to get it done, and it's the combined lap times of the 2 drivers that make up the placing on the grid for the start of tomorrow's 3-hour stint race. And I tested out this Ford GT on these sports mediums with no tuning, of course, early on, just on the pad, but just to see what is it like. And I can tell you, if any surprise, it's quite a handful. So as ever, the IGTL organizers doing a pretty good job of keeping things challenging, and rightfully so. Now let's go over a couple, or if not, the entirety of the field. Let's take them from top of the order here, of course. As I mentioned before, TRL Lightning is going to be teaming up with Samet of GTTY for Team Turkey. I see a lot of memes incoming here already inbound. Samet Özşahin and Mikael, or just Mick Hissal, of course, the 2 Turkish drivers who, a little backstory that most of you probably know, but Turkey have yet to be represented officially at a World Tour event at in Gran Turismo, something I know been bothering Mr. Hissal there, and for that reason alone, I think it's very nice to see Turkey represented here in the IGTL Teamed Nations Cup. Velace Storm in the car here for in Q1 for France, I was trying to say, but those 2 F's just wouldn't come out. But it's a strong lineup. has to be said for France. With Chaumont, Storm, and Tutu, and Chaumont newly joining the Lazarus team as well, so a lot at stake for him indeed. Canada represented here, and it's Stefson. Oh. It's Stefson in the car, and just as I'm about to go through the Canadian team, the Canadian lineup, we can easily bring it up. It's of course Lester and Defson teaming up for the Canadians, but Chile with a very, very strong lineup for this one as well. And no surprise to see that the nations of South America, in which racing are indeed a grand passion, they aren't failing to produce talent at all. And with 3 World Tour finalists on display here, they'll certainly be a team to watch. I'll be surprised if they are not, well, at least there or thereabouts when tomorrow comes. The Italians, certainly a team to watch as well. In the car right now. A favorite of ours in the booth here. And I dare say that whoever I've been commentating with, well, they're always in awe of this driver. B-Racer, and one of the top drivers in absolute top form at the moment in GT Sport. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do with it here. And having a look at the practice lap times here, very, very close. Look at this Stepson and Best Racer split by 1,000th of a second. That is hugely impressive. Now I'd love to go through the list of people who are joining in chat. Say good evening to every one of you, but I'd be spending quite some time doing it. That's of course just nice, but a very warm welcome to you, to all of you. And we're 7 minutes away now from the start of Q1, which is scheduled to last around 40 minutes. Mind you, we're gonna have a warm-up lap, then the one hot lap and a cool down lap, so plenty of time to talk you through the drivers, through the teams, and to let the laps sink in, and to watch every single lap as well in its full. Something that's been a little bit problematic when having several cars on track at the same time. You want me to try that out, Round Robins? I'll give it a go. Hey, welcome to Round Robins GTR. Alex, Rabbit Gator, Handsome, Mew, Jimmy, nice to see you. Piosko as well, Bellin, Cooper, Mew as well. I just said that. Il Cunt is guy, nice to have you along. Oh, Tron, all alone, Tron, nice to have you along as well. And then we're up to Bike Sword News and Sabi. Ooh, good to have you along as well. Dutch Racing, GT Dutch Racing. That sounds very Dutch to me. Mr. Portilla, best of luck to you in the race as well. And Christopher, nice to have you along here tonight. So to faces new, to faces familiar here to the channel, welcome to all of you. It's, it's certainly a pleasure. But not to underestimate any teams here tonight. I think it's fair to say that the level across the entirety of the field is, if not the strongest, then it's certainly a contender for strongest IGTL lineup so far. And I think this format of uniting drivers by nations, that's certainly something that works to my mind. And obviously it's something that Polyphony Digital thought out as well when they figured out exactly how the esports side of GT Sport was going to be working out. of course, indeed it is GT Alex who made the liveries, and it is, of course, as well Abu, the brilliant French colleague of mine. You can find him over on Twitch. There's a link to his channel in the description, who's made the absolutely pro-looking stream overlays that we are using here tonight. And indeed, Jimmy, yes, that is true. We have seen, to say, a boom in subscribers over this last week, with so much attention gathering to this very event. It's been absolutely amazing to see, and can I just say thanks for all that lovely attention, and I hope you won't be disappointed with what we've got on display for you this weekend. Of course, the race kicking off tomorrow at the same time, 9 o'clock Central European time, and it's going to be lasting till around 1 at night, so you're up for some late hours there tomorrow. And in one of the best looking cars, to my mind, of course, the Belgians, represented here by Quinten, who's in the car at the moment for Phoenix Esports, and then for the iRacing team, it's Mr. Kevin Bellens, or as some of you might know him a little bit better, it is of course Bellin. Was that Defson who lost it there for the Canadians? Or was that just just so happened that that Defson lost it somewhere else? Because I think that was actually, and indeed it was the Polish car. Those two, the Canadians, the Polish, maybe a little similar, and in the end not really. But oh my, we're far from finished with taking you through just how strong the grid is for this event. Because for Lazarus in the Team Great Britain car, for the Brits, the English, and that's, I guess, unfair because they could, I take it, have Welshmen, Scotsmen in there as well, but it is in this Q1 session Tichney for Lazarus as well. The king of drama returns to bless us. He returns to bless us with an audience. Da, 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 da. So let's see what kind of things will unfold in the shadows of Tichney here this weekend. Of course, a lovely lad as well, as goes for all of these guys, basically. Organizing team, and any of the drivers I've spoken to as well. It's a great community, it's some stand-up people, and they're all here to race, to have fun, and to absolutely enjoy it, and to smash on the loud pedal, and to prove their country is the fastest in the world here in GT Sport. And thus, it is time for Q1 to get underway. From Blue Moon Bay it is. And let's just run it once more. The qualifying presentation here of the track, the circuit. It's 3.3 kilometers, that's just around 2.1 miles. 10 turns, 8 of them are left-handers. Of course, a very long 1 kilometer, or 0.6 of a mile, straight at the end of it. So expecting high top speeds and an estimated lap time around 1 minute and 13 or so. And that goes pretty well with what we have seen so far. And now just waiting for the drivers to be called out. And we do actually also have a bit of a running order. That was something I fixed up last minute, so I'm just gonna enlarge it for you so you can actually see what's going on here. For Q1, first up is gonna be France, followed by Belgium, Slovakia, the United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, Chile, Turkey, Germany, the Netherlands, Canada, Poland, and the United States of America. And then for Q2, it's gonna be that very same running order in reverse. And it's go time for the first car, the French car, driven by Veloce Storm, exiting the pits. Let's go on board for a bit here with Veloce Storm and see just how he fares along. And of course, this first lap being strictly a warm-up lap. There's no need to really push it, I guess. The wise thing would do to be sure that the tires are warm, though not overheated at any point of the lap. Although it has to be said, sports mediums, of course, for this event all the way through. So how quickly do they heat up? They might just need all the heat they can take. And the maximum attack here as Veloce Storm is going to round the final corner for this important run-in. We're going to get a lap displayed on screen as Team France is the first team to commence qualifying here from Blue Moon Bay. And the IGTL Teamed Nations Cup is officially underway, we can say here. Perfect line through turn one for Storm. Turns 2, 3 is connected indeed, and so easily to sail wide there. Then the kink, that's of course flat out, but it leads right into the braking zone of the right-hand hairpin. And then that's double followed by the double left-hander. And the second one a bit tighter, actually quite a bit tighter than the first, so a bit of trail braking needed to get that one right. And then the all-important final turn, and what's it gonna be for Veloce Storm, who just taps the wall there. A 1:13.7 it is for France and Veloce Storm here in Q1. And that means next up, of course, is Belgium with Quinten in the car. That is, of course, always the problems and the challenges of one-lap qualifying sessions, because it's walking the line between simply going too slowly, too defensively, too conservatively, if you will, and then pushing it too far, making mistakes. In the end, that'll cost you even more time, perhaps, than taking a careful, conservative approach to the lap. So that's really never easy to get right, and it requires a lot of practice indeed. and I'm interested to see how far that 1:13.7 is going to take the French, as Quentin here for Belgium crosses the line to start his flying lap as we go on board with the Belgian indeed. Looks well composed, and as I say that, the curse of the commentator with a slight strike. This is a little bit of oversteer there for Quentin. And on the attack into the hairpin. Keeping it nicely under control. And that active rear spoiler doing its part. And it's gonna be pretty active for this race, going up and down, top speeds on Blue Moon Bay in these cars, estimated around 265 kilometers an hour. They have 7 gears, so we'd only expect them to really use 6 for going fast here. So in the end, if you find anyone in 7, that'll be for fuel saving purposes. And Quentin, who crosses the line, won't it give me the time, god damn it. Of course, there are ways to find out. 1:13.9, and it didn't look like full attack indeed. Oh, there's a pit bug. And that's for the Slovakians for Hydro Type R, I think. And indeed it is Slovakia next up, so it's a bit of bad luck there. He got married. And of course, PD will be PD. And it seems to be a challenge to have these around the world lobbies without any major issues. Answer. No Murrays yet. Oh, we'll have to fix that, won't we? At some point, perhaps for Q2. We've got Hydro Type R out for the Slovakians. One of several teams I would expect, almost without actually being sure, to have participation from TX3, a team that seems to be absolutely everywhere in the world of sim racing. And here comes Hydro Type R for a flying lap for Slovakia. On board we are. That's a good question, Jaden. It actually sprung to my mind a minute ago as well. Well balanced as well, but this being a qualifying that counts for 2 laps, it's so important not to mess something up. An aggressive line into the hairpin as well. but making sure not to go over the limits of the tires, and that seems to be an important thing to keep the balance of the car. And as I say, that massive sliding through the double left-hander hits the rev limiter for a short moment into the final corner. Hydro Type R, that's a big corner cut, but it's just about within the limits. And that's of course for the stewards to decide. Well into the 14s there for Slovakia in the end. And why it says the Italians on top, I actually don't know, but it is France currently fastest with that 1:13.7 put in by Veloce Storm. And next up are the Brits. As mentioned before, run here in Q1 by the ever so brilliant Tichny of Lazarus Esports. Or is it just Lazarus by now? I'm sorry, if I get something wrong at some point this weekend. And I say that because chances are it'll probably happen. I can always just pull a Murray and say that it's all on purpose, but I guess I'd be lying in the end. Tichny kicks out the rear in flamboyant style through the hairpin. And over the course of 3 stints, the British team could very well be up there indeed. Such a strong one. Indeed. And they have, of course, the civil names. Tichny, it's Martin Grady, of course, which most of us know. Lewis Bentley for Lazarus as well. And then Calster, listed here as child. 8-year-old child. Well done, Lewis, who I think tightened up the team. Wherever young he is. And driving for Great Britain here tonight as well, Calster. Looking forward to seeing him in the car at some point. Oh, and he just about keeps it in. Hugs the curb into the braking zone, into the hairpin. You want every inch of track going in there to get the car around. And just about, I'd say just about comfortable style, because this car really wants to rotate once you get on the throttle, and until then it kind of doesn't want to, so it's not easy getting the balance right as Tichny gets the final corner pretty well. I don't know about that exit though, could be a little slow on it, but I think on overall this could be a pretty good lap. We'll stay on board until the 9. What's it gonna be for the Brits? Just so into the 14s, like the Slovakians. And that lap put in by Veloce Storm looks to be a little faster perhaps than expected. So next up are the Spanish, and a team full of favorites. They are indeed, with the Adrivitic Josete and Brea, who has done so well on multiple occasions before here in the IGTL. But the Spanish certainly among the favorites, as always in sports. The Spanish always up there. A nation that is very passionate about sports, and if you ever go traveling in Spain, that's one of the things you're going to be noticing, is that no matter what region of the country you come through, there will always be a bar, and chances are they'll be watching sports on television, whether that be football, racing, cycling, or something else. And the Spanish nation generally, very beautiful place. I've had the pleasure of going on multiple occasions. I've ridden a bike on a couple of occasions in Spain as well, and it is an absolute joy. So many beautiful sights to see. And as a Dane, it's quite stunning when you get up in the mountains. Jose T through the kink and into the hairpin. Looks aggressive yet composed. And one of the drivers I would expect to be up there. But a good point made by Thomas in chat that road cars in the world of GT sports, something very different though. Jose T on a purple sector through sector 2, though not by much. It's 0.5 of a second, and that can so easily be lost through that final corner with that long run down to the line. Let's see, will Jose T be the driver to best the time set for the French by Veloce Storm? For the Spanish here, he does by 24,000 of a second, but he is fastest provisionally. It's 1:13.708, and that brings us to our next team, our next contender. It is Best Racer. You really need a clean line, Jimmy, through that last corner, because it is the corner that can make or break a lap, unlike any other turn here at Blue Moon Bay. And now let's see what the Italians can do here. Of course, the Italians with Best Racer lining up alongside Il Conde Sky and Musto Thunder, or Thunder 98 if you will. And I've got a document this very evening with the full names of the drivers, and I promise that I'll be practicing a lot on the civil names of the drivers so I can actually use that a little bit. I've been wanting to implement that also because it feels cool as a commentator. Becomes all the more real, doesn't it? But anyway, the Italians cross the line to start their first of 2 flying laps, and that is of course because we're going to have another Italian driver in the car for Q2 later. But for Q1, this is that one shot for B Racer, the JIM Williams Esports driver. Seems very poised through the first sector and is purple. He's up by 0.5 of a second. Hey Splurge, nice to have you along. Keeps it under control through there. What's it gonna be as he exits here? We're gonna see through the end of the second sector. He's no longer purple, or so the timing system of the game would have me believe, at least, because if so, we're not seeing it at least. That middle sector did not look as poised as the first one did, but that's no guarantee that he isn't going to be fastest across the line. Let's see, here he is! But that very same 0.5 of a second for Team Italy. It's Best Racer who takes a provisional, well, I'd say provisional pole, but it is, I guess, provisional pole with a 1:13.662. And next up is indeed Chile. As mentioned before, one of the grand favorites in my mind, with 3 World Tour finalists, such an amount of talent. Karma Queen, Loirod and Nico are both of Flat Out Threat. They are really gonna be a force to be reckoned with. How they fare along in road cars, I'm actually not that strong on the drivers individually. I'm sure someone in chat will know a little bit more about that, but on pure talent, they are most certainly up there. Oh, Piosko, I'm not that... I have Polish friends. And Denmark not too far away from Poland, so we have Poles studying here and going here to work and such. So, I wouldn't say familiar, but I'd say I'm not... You know, I dare try to speak with the Polish names. Anyway, Nico R through turn 1 looked pretty good. Here's turn 2. So easy to be off there, but half a tenth up on best racer he is. Very aggressive. Through that middle right-hander into the kink. Let's see, braking extremely late. But managing to get the car turned, hugging the apex very nicely. Hardly he's been using the entirety of the track, and if you don't need to, well, I guess it's faster not doing so because you want to stay to the right for the entrance here. Keeps it very nice as well, and he's clear by 1/10 of a second. So I think my predictions on the Chileans here for tonight very much being correct, at least if he gets the run to the line right, that final corner. Let's see if it breaks a lap for Nico R. I wouldn't expect it. So he lost a little bit, and it's half a tenth up on best racer. Provisionally best for the Chileans here in Q1. And mind you, of course, as Alex also writes in chat, it is 2 sessions. 2 drivers will be putting in a time each for each team. And those times will be added upon each other to give the final times that will decide the grid standings for tomorrow's stint race. Let's see, next up are some of the very grand stars, at least in terms of sheer big name star quality, because Mick Hissal undeniably, or perhaps alongside Igor Fraga, but these 2 drivers are the 2 absolutely biggest names in the end. At least the 2 most well-known, I'd say. It would be my judgment, of course, that is my final judgment. And mind you that Hissal here in car for Q1, the 2-man Turkish team, was the fastest driver in practice. He put in a 1:13.4, I think, for the practice session here. But of course it is different when it's just a single lap. We're on board with Mick Hissal, the world's #1, into turn 1. And an early upshift brings the car out in balance. Pretty much just coasting through turns 2 and 3. That's the way to do it. Perfect line through turn 4 there. The kink awaits for Mick Hissal. Under the bridge he goes, and very early entrance, but somehow manages to turn that car in. That's a different line. That was more speed carried into that hairpin than anyone I've seen so far at this point here. Mick Hissal, perfect exit, and he, you know what, he's clear by half a tenth. With the early upshift yet again, coming out the final corner into the banking. Let's see, across the line he goes indeed. 1:13.5, Mick Hissal. Undeniable quality for the Turks. And that's gonna take him a long way. Beautiful lap indeed from Mick Hissal. And sometimes the big name people, the big name athletes, the big name drivers and so in sports, when the pressure is on and it's their time to shine, they disappoint. Well, not today for Mick Hissal. Shows exactly what he's made of. And the next up is the Germans with Joni for TX3 in the car. And indeed, Jimmy, we're at 90 plus viewers for an IGTL qualifying session. That's pretty amazing. I have to say thanks a lot for stopping by. If you like what you see, do smash the like button for us. And remember to come back for tomorrow's race, because that's where the real action kicks off with the 3-hour stint race, as Joni is about to run in through that final corner. That is quite some of a line through there, and it could be a little bit of an advantage, perhaps being able to oh no, they're just sitting there in the pit waiting to go out. They can't, of course, leave the car there as far as I'm aware. I don't think they're allowed to spectate the laps of the other drivers. There could be a bit of tips and hints together there for the other drivers. Joni through turn 1. And sometimes it's difficult to see whether the line is perfect or only nearly perfect. Does seem a little bit off of Mickey Sal's pace. Oh, and just misses the curb. I wouldn't say misses the apex, because it was pretty much the apex of the corner, but the line needs you to take some curb through that right-hander, and didn't quite get that. Getting the rear end nicely through the hairpin though, Joni. And by the way, the Germans, except, or excuse me. As I said, the Germans represented by Freak, and a very well-known face on this channel, and to viewers of this channel, Shaza, here representing his country. Half a second off, that is... it's not terrible, but I feel like that doesn't show the entire story for TX3. And I managed to actually miss the time as they went through. That's a 1:14.2 for the Germans. Next up are the Dutch. And they have another of the ERT drivers in the field, in Olegna. A fun Olegna fact coming up here. I don't know if it's a fun Olegna fact, like something strange about him or anything. He's a perfectly normal and cool guy. But it took me so long, like until 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks ago actually, I think, when it all of a sudden occurred to me that Olegna is Angelo spelled backwards. So that's your fun Olegna fact for you. But by the way, Olegna is the second driver for the Dutch here, and in Q1 they're represented by single filer for Vanquish Esports. And as I say that, coming onto the banking for a hot lap, let us go on board with the Dutchman. Oh, and the Lightning himself is here. I have to say I'm in awe of that lap as well. That was absolutely wondrous to look at. I'm trying to be impartial, but it's a little hard sometimes when you see that kind of display. Yes, Mew, indeed, it took some time. Can we just say that? Here's single filer through the hairpin. We're on board again as the Dutch car is coming towards the final sector that basically just consists of one corner and a whole lot of straight bit. That's a big cut. Is that too much? Oh, maybe a little bit too early turn in there for single filer, who just about scrubs the wall. I wouldn't say it's a disastrous scrub though. Let's see what time it's gonna be. Keep my eyes on it. It's well into the 114s for single filer. Hey there, Cliche, Laurentia, by the way, nice to have you along. Fons, Catfish. Good evening to you. And so next out are, I would believe, indeed, yes it is, the Canadians. And I keep on saying it's such a strong team, and oh, they have a strong team for this showing, and they're also strong, and oh, we're gonna have to watch this team and that team, and this 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th team as well. But when it comes down to it, the quality across the line on the grid here is just so high that well, I'd be wrong if I said anything else, really. Debson, Lester for the Canadians. And wasn't there a 3rd driver for Canada? I don't really remember. Or was it just these two? No. Brooks and Pinnell, Debson and Lester. Hey there, JR Simracing. Welcome to. As we're coming through the first of 2 sessions of qualifying here for the IGTL Teamed Nations Cup, featuring the Ford GT road car here from Blue Moon Bay. Lorenzi comes in with the predictions. 13.863 from Canada. That is a very, very specific prediction. Let's see your predictions. Prediction for Canada. Of course, the prize gets smaller for each second of the lap that passes. That would be a good game, actually. Here is Devson into the hairpin. On board we are. Oh, drifts a little. That's a little too far left. Of course, it's not a choice he makes. He tries to go as quickly as he humanly can. And then just tries for the car to correct thing here. That's a perfect line though through the final corner. And Andrew Brooks is coming towards the line. What's it gonna be? Is it gonna be that 13.864? What was it even? Oh, we're gonna have to hop in to the live timing. Let's have a look. The Canadians 1:13.805. Good attempt, nice attempt there, Laurenzi. So 13, Jimmy, that was pretty close, I have to say. Not bad at all. Tiger Tom with an early prediction there of a 13.864. The 13.8, well, it wasn't that far off. Anyway, enough talk about that, and let us focus on the next car up to put in their Q1 lap, and that is, of course, the Polish car. And the Poles, whose SRC team has been present in the IGTL for a couple of races now. They've been strong, they've been building on it, and they're here fielding a 3-man team of, and I have to get closer to my screen here. That's Angelov, Kamicio, and Maciej Svirek. I think it is Svirek, because Svider is just SVDR. That's of course Svider, but Svirek. But it's Angelov here for Q1. Seemingly getting a good run now. That's not to underestimate the importance of getting that perfect run through the final corner on that warm-up lap, or on the out lap if you will. On board we are through the middle sector for the Poles. And that's the Mick Hassel line, but he just about misses the episode, and a big oversteer moment for Angelov. Keeps it under control though, but how much is that gonna cost the Poles? Exiting well for the penultimate corner. And this is where we also saw that early upshift into 4th gear for Mika Sal. And that turned out to work so well. The Turks are still top of the table here for Q1. And the Poles are in the low 114s. That's not a bad lap at all for Angelov. Now the United States, which is, if I'm not completely mistaken, the final nation to get out here. Let's see the running order. Indeed it is the USA. And of course, once we get Q2 underway, we'll have the Americans first on track. Then it's William Bader, the man known as Bill Bader. Of course. Makes pretty good sense. Very American car. And it looks, it's not to speak too much about road cycling, but it bears a strong resemblance to a United States champions jersey worn in the late 1990s by George Hincapie in the European Spring Classic season that I was growing up with, that I always thought would be really cool. Good job, Alex. Here comes Bill Bader through that final corner. A little bit more space to use on the exit, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. And yes, Jimmy, that indeed the 2 laps added on top of one another. Bill Bader seems very well poised for turns 2 and 3. Here comes turn 4. Oh, and he drifts a little wide, but I don't think that cost him any time. It sounded as if he was on the full on the throttle all the way down there. Does well to really attack the hairpin, and now the double left-hander with that late apex as you wanted. Oh, a little bit of an oversteer moment there, and that might just cost Bill Bader a little bit. Though a good exit for from the final corner, and let's see what's it gonna be. Fire Benny with a shot at 114.5. I'm tempted to say they might just be in the 13th here, but I was wrong. That's a 14.3, I think. And we need just to have a look. 13.807 or 8.05. I'm sorry for the Canadians. Bill Bader there, 14.345 it is. And for the Polish, that was a 14.305, so very close to the Americans. Not too far off at all. So session 2 going up in a few moments here. Let's just have a look at some times that are that are really hard to make anything out of, really, but whatever. We're just gonna take a screenshot of them so we have them, just for the sake of just, you know, having them, and we're gonna take another small screenshot, and with that I'm gonna leave you for a few minutes until we get the Q2 qualifying session underway. So you could go somewhere, but don't go too far away. We'll be back in about 5 minutes for the second of 2 qualifying sessions for this weekend's IGTL Teamed Nations Cup here from Blue Moon Bay. Welcome back, ladies and gents. It's time for Q2 here from Blue Moon Bay. Our short break, that was actually quite a short one, is indeed over. And let's go to another presentation just for good measure. If anyone missed it the first time around, of course, Blue Moon Bay, 3.2 kilometers. That's just about, or 3.3 kilometers actually. It's 2.1 miles. It's got a kilometer of straight. That's 0.6 of a mile. For anyone getting real confused by those imperial metric relationships there. A a single lap per nation, and this time around we've got the Americans with Darkrai from Phoenix Esports starting, being the first ones to run in the session. We are back with live pictures here with the aforementioned Darkrai, been heavily involved in the ESGT League racing, the esports global tournament. That is, of course, it's been gaining a bit of a following as well as of late, and of course he's been here in the IGTL before and now representing the United States of America. Let's get, you know what? Still no Murrays. How can that be? What a damn shame. I have a sneaky little something in the corner, and that is better. You thought we'd be running with no Murrays for an entire session, did you? And of course, we would never do that. But what we will do is display these qualifying results from Q1. Q1 results, that is Turkey with Mikasal in the car, 1:13.5 in front of Nicolas Rubelar. That's Nicoar for Chile. Original in second, that's a 1:13.6.7. Best racer for Italy in Q1 with a 1:13.6.62. Josete for Spain is in third with Veloce Storm for France at 1:13.732, ending up fifth fastest in Q1. That's certainly not bad at all. Brooks for Canada, that's of course Devson for Phoenix Esports in the 13th as well, and Saints goes for Quinten Jehul, I don't know, I guess he's Flemish, I hope he's Flemish, but anyways, Quinten for Phoenix Esports, with a 1:13.958 anyway. For Germany, TX3 Joni into the 1:14s, and then followed the Poles with a batter for the United States, single filer for the Netherlands, Tichny in 12th for Great Britain, and in 13th it was Slovakia in Q1. So still a bit of warm-up to do here for Q2 before we get that running, and just a chance to go through some of the drivers that are running in this session for the teams that we've already seen before, but the drivers, there's of course a brand new set of them, and the Chileans represented and fastest so far here, Loirod, that's 1:13.829, looking very strong so far. Clear of Darkrai, Leicester, and then the Poles with the with Swider. Mr. Swiderek there for SRC daily duties. Driver with a lot of weight on his shoulders for the Turks. That's Samet, who got something to live up to, teaming up with TRL Lightning. Let's see just how they can get along here. Fair along indeed. They are in the 14th so far. Skenny mentions the baguettes needs to find a driver for this session. That's relatively hilarious for me. See 15, 16 in the lobby. So we would see if we did like this. It is indeed good enough here as Samet is racing through the hairpin. I just had a feeling like, oh, qualifying has started. It occurred to me, no it has not, we are still in practice. But he's on a good time here, set to improve on a personal best that already is close to the times here set by the other leaders here, though Leurod is matching whatever pace Mikhail was putting in practice before Q1. And so the Chileans are really showing to be more than just up there. That's a 114.2 here for Samet. That's not bad at all. Either way. For the Germans here in Q2. There it is, the German car. Well, that's Netso Racing, the Netso Racing team, represented by Freak, and their third driver, aside from TF3 Joni, that is of course another Netso Racing team driver, Schosse. Interesting to see just how the Germans fare along here. It's Freak seeming to be a little off the pace here early days. Will it stay that way? Well, that's going to be interesting to see. I think I'd have to agree with Rapid Gator, by the way. That's a very important point to get across. Listed as, I'm not saying this is true, this might be a bit of fake news here, but listed as 8 years old. Forever young, he certainly is the only racing driver that gets even younger with every day that passes. Calster, show him some love. What's up, Nick? Nice to have you along. And the French have joined us. It's Susu, or I'm still at a loss to how they want that one pronounced. The French certainly was up there in the first qualifying session. Very strong lineup as well. They could go places in tomorrow's race. More grandpas, more Murrays. I think I have to limit myself to a single Murray, because we all saw at 24 hours for Anna how one Murray can take another Murray, and that can turn into 3 Murrays, and all of a sudden you have a screen full of 120 Murrays or something. That went quite bad there at the end. Yeah, that's true, Lightning. Imagine Calster when he grows younger, when he grows even younger. Imagine when he's like 5 or 6, the inexperience. must have such an initial feeling of things in general. Caster's coming back, by the way. He's gonna join us. He is gonna be the one, the driver, the designated driver for the Brits here in Q2. It's gonna be interesting to see. Experience. That could be put on Martin indeed as well. Indeed, Hansa, there was more Maris than it was racing in the end. That's a very good point, Round Robbins. That's a very good point. And I have to say to everyone here, do put it in your calendars. Get a notification somehow. You could subscribe, hit the bell icon, let YouTube take care of it for you. That's certainly a way. Wink, wink. But no, seriously, the race tomorrow is not to be missed. With a raised finger in the air. I tell you. Susu getting in here. He's right on the pace. Look at this. Well in the 113s, and it's not even just any kind of 113th. That's pretty much the only one to get even close to the Chileans here in the warm-up. So let's just bring back the running order. For Q2 is of course the running order on the right hand side of the table. So it's the United States, followed by the Poles, the Canadians, the Dutch, the Germans, the Turkish, the Chileans, the Italians, followed by the Spanish, the Brits, the Slovakians, the Belgians, and in the end, the French, the baguettes, if you will. And I say that because I know I can't. Just with these guys. I know it's okay. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting one to see just how this one pans out. Caster should be here. Is he ready for this session to kick off? Because I think everybody else is by now. Hey there, Doc. Nice to have you along. What a pleasure. And to see, again, we are above 100 viewers for an IGTL qualifying session. We have yet to see anything of the likes. And what a lap, by the way. Susu here at the last moment. Oh, I think Calster is suffering on his connection. But Susu, look at that lap. A 1:13.334. That bodes very well for the French indeed. If Susu can put in such a lap for Q2, that would be rather amazing, it has to be said. But yeah, that lap most certainly is impressive, to say the least. Another one of the drivers we have yet to mention for this session at least is for the iRacing team. Let's hope he won't smash his own car. Let's hope he won't smash anyone else's car. Let's hope the only thing he'll be smashing is lap times. It is, of course, Bell and Smash for the Belgians. Setting out to continue upon the work done by Quinton in Q1. We have an official notice that qualifying here in Q2 has been delayed by 5 minutes due to Calster's router issues. His router probably being older than he is. I wouldn't be surprised. Good one coming from you, Mick. I guess Lightning is the one to call anyone OP. But indeed, the lap time put in there from Suzu, that is very, very impressive. We'll see just how that translates into actual qualifying pace, because it's also mentioned upon earlier, it's most certainly not just that simple. I'd have to say it's with these one-lap qualifying sessions, if you're too much on a knife's edge, well, it can so easily go all wrong. And being at the back of the grid before, even though this is a 3-hour race about to happen tomorrow, 3 stints of an hour, do the math yourself. I take it you can do that. No, anyway, be that there's actually plenty of time to move through the field, to move up and to come back from a bad qualifying session or a bad start or whatever. You most certainly really want to make sure that you just get the optimum starting position, the optimum launch, so to say, into the race with a good qualifying here, as always. Even though it's long tomorrow, we've seen IGTL races, also these stint races, being decided on not seconds but hundreds of a second, and wouldn't be surprised to see it happen again. So it can end up being a decisive factor in the end, very much so. That's gonna be some hot twist, Conde. For the Canadians here in Q2, it's Lester from Turismo Racing. We've touched upon the Turkish car also here for Q2. For the Italians, it's Thunder 98. Otaime Brea for Project One Motorsport. It's also been such a strong team in general here over the last year and a half or so. Also in the IGTL, they have been at the top time and time again. Such a strong output from them. And they most certainly know what to do with the car. Slovakians here in Q2 with Sabi for TX3. Sweeter for the Poles. And I think we have been around and about the entire field by now, more or less. Still waiting for the last couple of joining. I say last couple of joinings, but it is in the end only really Calster that we still need to get in, get ready, and get on track. So Calster sees the lobby. That's an improvement, that's for sure. Aveup, who's no longer Aveup in the world of GT Sport, he's now Bonjour Storm. A meme that literally drives around. We have our qualifying marshal here, Kenny, saying this is last chance for the drivers to make this work for Q2. This time it's definitive. Let's just see how it goes, as Q2 is just about to get underway. And it is the Americans that are first off. Did he get in here, Calster, for the Brits? I don't... Oh, yeah, he is there in 9th place. Though there is someone I don't see at this moment. I think that was the Poles. They are here as well now. Everyone's in. And that means we are just waiting for the marshals to give the green flag for the Americans to go on their outlap. And I think that's just about now. And that means Q2 is getting underway. The United States are let out. They're released from their pit box cell onto home ground, you could say. The Americans have here. They might be a little bit better on the oval part. Phoenix Esports well represented here at this IGTL event with several drivers as well, and they are one of the stronger esports racing outfield, or what is it called? It's a strong team. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Stop hating on potato internet. I've been a user of potato internet for many years, until one day all of a sudden I got good internet, and now I'm never going back to potato internet. Just saying, I've been there myself. And with that said, it's Darkrai for the United States of America, who's about to set the opening lap of Q2. Good amount of attack. Oh, almost a little bit too much attack there for Darkrai. And that's through turn 4. Gets a little sketchy. Now into the hairpin. Big speed into it as well, but managing to get the car turned around though. Seems to sail a little on the outside and somehow gets it in there. And then the tricky and so important final corner. That's the slightest of rubs to the outside wall, but that's going to cost Darkrai all the way to the line. Let's see what type of lap is it going to be. Good point, Piosco. I'll have that fixed in a jiffy. And so, Poland let off here, and Darkrai, that's a 1:14.1. That by no means a bad lap, but a lap that nonetheless, I'm sure, is going to be better at some point in this session. No, Piosco, I remember that all by myself. I didn't need help whatsoever. No. That was all me. But Lewis, that's your own teammate. That's not really gonna aid your team, is it? I don't sense the ambition to win in you, Lewis. That's not good. Here comes Speeder for the Poles. Final corner, and then the run to the line. And of course, the wider you can go, the more speed you can carry. This is not about going fast time-wise. This is about carrying momentum onto the straight and into turn 1 and the big bump that characterizes it. A bit of a late apex to have as well, if you are to be able to get on the throttle early enough. A bit of a downshift and then holding off the throttle to help the car not understeering wide. And then that essential turn 4, because the middle straight there, it's it's kind of a short to medium length straight, I guess. But there is time to be lost with a bad exit from the corner here. The speeder goes into the hairpin. It all looks pretty composed so far from the Polish driver, the Polish car, Team Poland that is. A little bit of a stylish swerve, a small kick of the tail, although that's rarely the fastest way around. Almost taps the wall as well. And indeed, these lap times will be added to the ones set in the previous qualifying session. And the added times will then make for the final grid results there. The Poles, about 2/10 off of the Americans here in Q2. Next up, we have Canada. And that's Lester, Turismo Lester, exiting the pits. So interested to see how the Canadians are able to match up to the pace here in Q2. They could be, well, they could really be up there for this event if they get it right. And the talent is there. But the field is so strong that you would need to have much more than just talent. Preparation, I'd say, isn't enough as well. You'd need to have the perfect run of form on the day, and maybe even coupled with a bit of good luck. And I'm so excited to see how the race pans out tomorrow. I think it's going to be hugely interesting. Because these... Oh, well, that's a bit of a scrub of the wall there coming into turn 2 for Leicester. And of course we don't have any real type of... replay availability here from qualifying. That's a bit of a shame, because I would have loved to have a second glance at that situation there. Gets the car turned in well here though, Leicester, but how much did that cost? The poles and pole on poles? Yes, that would be amazing, huh? Let's go, that would be... Even just the poles on pole would be amazing in itself. I'd be rooting for the Poles just to go on pole for that. Just to be able to say it. But I've already said it, maybe I just kind of ruined it actually. I'm sorry if I did. That was Leicester across the line. I didn't actually catch what time that was, but it seems to be very close to... I'm not really able to make any sense of that order there, so let's see here instead. Turismo Leicester 114.1. So we've yet to see the first car break into the 113s here in Q2 as Olegna takes to the track for the Dutchman. The Netherlands. Or for Holland. but actually, because don't lose it on the outlap, Olegna. Almost got the rear tires on the grass, as he very nearly did actually there again at the exit of turn 4. But in some countries, in some languages, it's the Netherlands, the Dutch, are also just commonly referred to as Holland, and that is the case for my country as well, my language, me being Danish. Turns out, if I'm not completely mistaken, that Holland is actually a province in the Netherlands. So it's kind of, it's a bit of a wall touch there. It's not going to give Alekna the perfect run though, and just to finish up on it. So while not being completely wrong, it's a little wrong, I guess. Here goes Alekna though. I'm sure there are a few Dutch people here in chat who can wisen me up on what I've just been talking about. So Alekna gets it into turn 1. And actually, if you just go in with the confidence, try to brake all the way to the right of the track and just brake in a straight line and be confident that the car is going to turn in, it will turn in as well. Rapid Gator with a nice bit of statistics there. That 7 teams got into the 113s in Q1. Oh, yep, I'm right. Oh, that's good. That's certainly that correct facts about the Netherlands being told while Alekna is driving, that can only aid him along his quest to be at the top of the table. There are 2 Hollands in the Netherlands now. This just got spicy. Oh, and across the line Alekna goes. I wasn't able to see what kind of time that was. A 1:14.190. So that's the 3rd car here in this session to be within the 1:14.1s. It's 3rd fastest so far, but they're all very close indeed. And next up are the Germans. That is Freak for Netso Racing. Holland. There was also a Holland in New York. Okay, I didn't necessarily know that. We have an island just outside Copenhagen called Amager, or Amager. Kenny surely knows about this. Which was built upon by Dutch potato farmers, what, 400 years ago or so. So even in Denmark, a bit of Dutch influence as well. This is all getting a very good discussion here. Freak seemingly a little wide there at the exit. A little early wide. Could I say that? Early wide? A little early to be wide at the exit of turn 1 for Freak. And the Germans just managing not to be on the grass there at the exit of turn 4. That is an important one. Here through the kink, under the bridge in the braking zone here. Coming across the track. Very early entrance to the hairpin. And it seems the intuitive thing to do would to have a later apex, but of course the car might not just be able to keep the speed and turn at the same time. And that's being the better approach, to just get it in there and try to carry as much speed as possible once you've got it turned in. Here comes Freak, Netso Racing team driver for the Germans. Are they going to be the first one to pop into the 113s here in Q2? They are not. That's a 114.4, I think, for Freak. who does well not to hit the wall there. Brilliantly done, I have to say. Very nice sliding about. The next ones to exit will be Samet from the team of Turks. He's expecting to see many good memes about turkeys, putting turkeys on cars and such. I was challenged to say his name, and I don't find it that hard at all, so I'm just gonna do it like it was no thing. But it's Samet Özahin for Turkey, for Q2 here, teaming up with Mikhail. And whoever teams up with Mikhail is always gonna find him or herself in some kind of favorite role. In land, you're late for Lightning's all-crushing Q1 lap. Was certainly a good one here as Samet is rounding the final bank corner onto the start-finish straight to start the flying lap of the Turks here of Q2. Hey, Awake! Nice to have you along, mate. Good to see you. And that goes for everyone who's tuning in here for Q2 as well. A very warm welcome, belated that might be. We've had some very good laps put in. We've had some great discussions about regions in the Netherlands. And it's all been a classic IGTL show here on the channel. And it's only qualifying. Mind you, we still have the main course of this, I was about to say three-way, but it's not three-way. It's a two-course dish, so to say, but it's the main course tomorrow night, of course, with the 3-hour stint race. Samet, that's a very good exit though. It looks really nice, really solid, and seems to carry good speed onto the start-finish straight. Let's see what kind of lap is it going to be for the Turks. There's fertile ground to go quickest here because nobody's been into the 13s yet, and neither is it going to be Samet. That's a 1:14.5, I think, from the Turks. Darkrai will have 1:14.1. I might have cursed everyone else by saying that Darkrai would probably be better at some point in this in this session, because he just hasn't so far. And we've seen actually quite a bit of the field after laps set. We're halfway through now. We are at Chile. We have yet to come the Italians, the Spanish, the British, the Slovakians, the Belgians, and the French to round off Q2. And let's join Loirod, who was one of the absolute fast boys in the Q2 warm-up practice session. And we are expecting the Chileans to be very much up there and on the pace. I wouldn't be a moment surprised to see them in the mix all the way through for tomorrow. With Nico R, Loirod, and then McQueen, the third driver. We're gonna take care of a stint each. And with that said, the flat-out threat driver here is about to start the flying lap of his team, of his nation. And where are they gonna start tomorrow's race? I think any sort of lap in the 113s will put him higher, as they're one of the nations to be in a good position from Q1. And he's almost 0.2 of a second up already through Sector 1. That's hugely impressive. Here is some pace that we have yet to see before in this session. And into the hairpin he comes. Absolute attack here from Laurent. He's really going for it. Keeps the car to the right, though, manages to pick up a bit of a slide, and that might just slow him down a little bit. We're gonna have to see what kind of time it is, though he is increasing the advantage, and by now he is looking to be in the 13s, and I think it's gonna be somewhere around 13.7, 13.8, and that depends all on the run to the line. Of course, no contact made with the wall, and that's imperative that you don't. Let's see what kind of time is it gonna be for the Chileans. That's a 1:13.753. And a provisionally best time of Q2. That's certainly going to put him in a good position for tomorrow's race. Not a bad lap whatsoever. That was a stunning one, actually, from Loira. And corner cut, well, not really, because that's the line that everybody picks through that final corner. Since there isn't really any penalties given, as long as it's consistent, then it's fine, you know. That's kind of the thing with track limits. We have some vigilant stewards keeping their eyes on the lap, being set closely indeed. Here goes Musto Thunder, seconded the Italians to put a lap in. Best Racer was very much in the mix for Q1, and they have Ilkan as guy for a third driver, so we know talent is indeed strong with the Italians. Let's see what's it gonna be for Thunder 98 here. Seems to be a little conservative through turn 1, although that could be the conservative line is pretty much the fast line, because you want to be able just to get nice and early on the throttle. You don't want to come too hard on the throttle as well too early, so it's a you certainly don't want to do that. So it's all about patience exiting turn 1, and I think Thunder 98 showed a good bit of it here. It is seemingly, though, not a purple time into the final sector. He goes. That's a good line through the final corner. Seemingly carrying a good deal of speed. Hugging the apex of the bank. Final corner and onto the start-finish straight. And what is it going to be at the end? It's a 13.9, I think. If I'm not completely mistaken, I don't think it was the fastest time, but he certainly was close. He certainly was close. 1:13.896 for the Italians. And Musto Thunder, somebody called that 1:13.8. Rabbit Gator. Well done. Well done, my man. For the Spanish here in Q2, Jotame Brea, very much also one of the drivers that we've seen on multiple occasions be at the very front of these IGTL events. He was there for Project 1 when they won the Summer Championship Series, and they were so strong last summer, so I would not be surprised to see him and the team all the way up there. Though that little bit of a scrape at the wall at the exit final corner, that might be costing a few thousands of seconds on the way from the line here and down to turn 1, but let us see what it's gonna be for Team Spain and Hotame Brea. In the thunderstorm, nice to have you along, and welcome to let's go on board with the Hotame Brea and the Spanish for this lap. Pure team put together by Project One Motorsports drivers, Adri Vitek, Josete, and Hotame Brea. That early upshift there from Hotame Brea seems to work pretty well for the drivers taking that approach to exiting the final corner, and they all seem to get good runs. What kind of times are we looking at here for the Spanish? I think it's a very good one indeed. That's just around the 1:14.0, I believe. A 1:14.2 that is for the Spanish, so we have Child has been called out by the marshals. So in the British car, it is indeed Child, the 8-year-old Child. This joke has traveled for so long. Did someone try to put in a picture of a baby and then it broke? Oh, that would be a bit of a shame. It is, of course, for Lazarus Esports to be all fair to him. He's a talented driver. All jokes aside, Calster, and he's here finally with a working internet connection to put in a lap for Team Great Britain. Having a look at the final running order, just 3 more teams to go here for Q2. That's going to be Slovakia, Belgium, and France. And really interested to see just how the French comes out of that one. Good line, exiting the final corner there from Calster. And Calster does what nobody else has really done so far, which I'm a little bit surprised to see that nobody else has done exactly that. Trying to stay high through the final corner, although it seems to me Calster is suffering from a little bit of connection issues here with that car. Is definitely stuttering along. And it's making it very difficult to actually see what is Calster's input and what is the internet connection being a little off. So let's take whatever happens here in our picture with a grain of salt, and we'll see what kind of time it is as he comes across the line here. That's through turn 4. More lagging here for Calster. I hope he gets these issues bettered when we get 24 hours further in. So the time of the world. That is a very poetic way of saying that, I think. Oh yeah, of course, little Conde. That's obviously it. Speedo, that's a good question. Maybe he likes McDonald's, or maybe he wants McDonald's, or loves. We love it. It's love. He loves McDonald's. He got to love it. Da 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 da. Calster's loving it. McDonald's IGTL sponsorship confirmed. Good point, Hansa. What kind of time was that even for Calster? Can't even see. Where is he? Oh, there he is. That's a 1:14 dead. You see, that's not a bad lap at all. And for the next ones, it's Sabi, the TX3 driver, the Slovakian. One of the surprise nations to field a car for this race, but very nice to see that it's not just your regular show-ups. The expansion of such series is also a possibility. And of course, why wouldn't Slovakia be able to field a couple of drivers at this level? Foolish to think they wouldn't. And here is Sabi to show just how talented he is. I'm quite sure that he's been looking forward. And is it Sabi's IGTL debut? I think it is, if I'm not completely mistaken at least. Let's see. Slovakians, the third final car to put in a time in this qualifying session. Oh, and Sabi gets way off the apex in turn 1. It's not going to be the best of first sectors. Managing to get the car turned pretty nicely though for turn 4, and then the kink and under the bridge into the hairpin. Keeping the car nicely balanced though for the exit. That's something we've seen more than a single driver having their fair share of problems with. And exiting this corner as well, a little bit of a squiggle, but not enough to really cause problems. And indeed, Barry Adams, that's very much true. It's a strong composition. It's a strong collective effort from a composition of 3 different strong, on their own right, teams to create this Slovakian car. And for KISS, it's going to be a 1:14.5. I think that's duly going to be down to that missed apex in turn 1. I think that could cost quite a bit of time in the end. Next up, the Belgians, second to last to qualify here in Q2. And it is, of course, going to be Bellin, the iRacing team driver. And the Belgian colors, they just look great, don't they? When put on a livery. Anything that has black in it is bound to look pretty cool. And thus it's a bit of a lucky color, even though it's hardly even a color. Some say it's I don't remember what they call it. It's something else. Don't you hate it when you want to say something and then you don't remember what the hell it's called? Yeah. Anyway, let's focus on the lap that's coming up here for ERT Bellin, rounding the final corner. Let's go on board with the Belgian. Let's just try and stay there for the entirety of this lap to see how the smashing King of Belgium comes along here. A lot of support for the iRacing team as well in chat. Feel free to root. That goes for all of you. I'd like to see rooting. Rooting is good. That's the line, by the way, for turn 1 there. 1 point for Bellin. Hugs the line through turns 2 and 3. And the exit is what you need to be careful with there. Turn 4. Gets that right as well. The kink. And under the bridge into the hairpin. And it seems they've pretty much all of them managed to master getting into that hairpin quite quickly and still just scrubbing off speed and enough speed to get the car turned in. Anyway, last corner, the lap breaker, we should probably call it. Oh, and that could be pretty good actually for Bellin. I'm not quite sure what kind of lap we're going to be looking at here. It could be within the 13s, in the low 14s. I wouldn't be surprised to see it good for Bellin and the Belgians. (1:14.101), and still only 2 cars to go within the 113s in this session. Of course, that's the Chileans with Loira from Flat Out Threat, and it's the Italians with Musto Thunder behind the wheel of their car. And now, one driver whom we really know is capable of putting in some absolutely stunning lap times. He was fastest in practice for Q2, for the Q2 set of drivers, if you will. And in practice, he managed the 1:13.3, and that's an absolutely blinding lap. So let's see if the French can put themselves anywhere near top spot contention. Does that very same thing, stays high in the track, knows that it's a way to gain a little extra speed as he comes across the line. And those small margins might be what come to decide it in the end. Let us see here. On board we are with the French car of Suzu joining forces, Veloce and Lazarus, to field this car in the end, with Storm and Tutu of Veloce, and then Chomad having joined Lazarus not that long ago, actually, of course. Congratulations to him on that one. It's been some time that he's been without a team. The French car looking very strong here. Let's see how Suzu deals with the hairpin. He absolutely slides into it. And what kind of a time are we looking at the exit of the double left-hander, and thus the entrance of the final sector? It's not purple. It's not purple. Oh, and that's a bit of a kiss of the wall there for Suzu. That might cost the French car in the end. Not sure just how much, but we could actually be looking at a time well in the 14s here. I'm not quite sure what it's gonna be. Oh, it's a very good time in the end for Suzu, and I think that will be made to shame. And I just about called it of being into the 14s. That I don't think it is. Let's just see. Looking for the French. There is a 1:13.846, so second fastest here in Q2 for the French. And in not too long we'll have times to show you. So please sit tight there for a second. And I will deploy. Should I deploy a waiting screen? Deploy the waiting screen for a moment. Just speak on until we are presented the times. There's one already there. Wouldn't be surprised actually. Oh, there it is. Just to mention. So the Chileans 1:13.607 in Q1, 1:13.653 in Q2. They are gonna take a provisional pole position. Italy, so far at least, if no penalties are given, in second with a collected time that is 2:27.554. That's 2/10 off of Chile over 2 laps. Certainly not much at all. The French in third. I'm sorry. And they are just 100th of a second away. Or is that 200? No, that's 200ths of a second, mind you. But it's still extremely close. That's over 2 laps. And that's between the French and the Italians. The French, of course, in third place, starting out on row 2 alongside the Spanish. The Canadians and the Turkish are to be found on row 3. Belgium and the United States, row 4, with the United Kingdom and the Netherlands on row 5. It's going to be Poland and Germany, neighboring countries. They're going to be neighboring each other on the grid as well, with the Slovakians being the last of the pack until then. But there's no shame in that, from the strength a field grid like this. It's absolutely insane just to be anywhere in this. Certainly needs you to be strong. And let's just see here, we've got Kenny taking to the track in the IGTL AMG GT safety car. Would you look at it? Would you just look at it? No, but seriously though, can I just say thank you so much for tuning in on this Saturday evening to the IGTL Teamed Nations Cup qualifying sessions Q1 and 2. It's been an absolute pleasure having you along and reaching over 130 viewers for a qualifying session. I can safely say that we have not seen these amounts of viewerships before, so it's absolutely insane to see. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope you want to hit us with a like, and you can subscribe to get a notification for tomorrow's race. You can also just remind yourselves, but kind of a good way for me to put that one in there as well without saying just subscribe to the damn channel. But you know what I mean. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow for the 3-hour stint race. We will be back at the very same time as today. That's 9 o'clock p.m. Central European time for the 3-hour stint race. And we shall see which nation shall emerge victorious when they come out at the end of tomorrow's race. So for tonight, here on Half the Race Gone, my name is Dirten DK. It's been my utmost of pleasures. And until tomorrow, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.